So let's talk about the economy, because even yesterday, when we had a segment on what ails Pakistan's economy, the major thrust was that we are doing very well in terms of our diplomacy and our military muscle that we've proven time and again. But when it comes to our economic muscle, we somehow fail to develop it. Now, there are a number of reasons that have been discussed to death, but they come into focus when we are in a situation that we are today, where Pakistan is playing the frontline role in trying to resolve this war on Iran. And repeatedly, there is mention of if Pakistan was slightly better off economically, our impact, our influence would have been far more on the situation than it is today. So why can't we get our economic act together? This is a key question which somehow bedevils every government. Today I'm going to come back to this question, but with a pointed focus, with a guest who's been not only grappling with this issue, but also trying to find a way out in very practical terms. Dr. Miftah Ismail is with us today. He is currently the General Secretary of the Pakistan Awam Party and also Pakistan's former finance minister. Dr. Miftah Ismail, welcome. First time you're coming to our show and our channel.
And congratulations on a new channel and new show.
Thank you. Good to have you here. So, I want to start with something specific and then sort of enlarge the discussion. We have decided we're going to pay back the UAE rollover loan, which is around 3.4 billion. We still have the loan from Saudi Arabia and from China. We also have the deferred oil payment development facility. Our total reserves as of today are $21 billion, which are far more than the dangerous level that we were about 3 years ago, I think. Now, a lot of people are asking, how come it has become so easy for us to suddenly say, and it's a good thing, I mean, we are glad that it's happening, but it does need some answer. We can afford to just pay back 3.5 billion just like that without a worry in the world?
No, you said in the beginning that Pakistan's diplomacy would have great if Pakistan were slightly financially better off. There is no doubt about this. But Pakistan is playing a pivotal role right now. And when you play these pivotal roles that it is, when your people are talking on the phone with, J.D. Vance and Trump and all those people, then sometimes some feathers, are ruffled.
Right.
And UAE probably is not particularly happy. I mean, it hasn't been happy with Pakistan for a few months now. So this is the cost of, of having a sovereign policy. This is the cost of having an independent foreign policy. Sometimes your foreign policy helps you get, but sometimes the foreign policy makes other countries want their money back, which is fine. I mean, this is not going to kill us. We may be able to borrow this money from other sources. We may not be able to borrow this money. I have a feeling that we would be. But it's not going to be the end of the world, because as long as the current account deficit is under control, this is not going to...
And that is under control?
So far it is under control. Obviously, with the increased price of petrol and gas and diesel and all that stuff, our cost of imports will go up. I think that the State Bank of Pakistan will have to play a little bit more of an active role in terms of interest rates, in terms of maybe, restricting imports a little bit, informal restrictions on import. But yes, we need to control the current account deficit.
So that's settled, that, we won't have too much of a problem paying back the UAE loan. Connected to that, of course, is the fact that oil prices are rising, and we've had to increase the petrol price and diesel price by quite a big margin. And you have also been arguing that the heavy petroleum levy is something where there is some space for the government to make sure that it can ease the burden on the people. And I think maybe somebody heard you when the Prime Minister decided to cut back that levy. But obviously, if this conflict continues the way it is, what can the government do?
So I've made 2 or 3 arguments. One is that when on the 1st of December or 31st, 1st of April or the 31st of March, the price of petrol to 384 rupees, 454 rupees, sorry, 454 rupees. 40% of that money was in taxes. So I said, that's a little too much taxes, 40%. You know, if the price is going to be raised, you know, to 454, then the taxes should not be 40% of that. And I think that there was a lot of people who agreed with me, a lot of anchors who agreed with me, and a lot of people put pressure, and the government actually took a step back the very next day. This government is not known for its courage anyways, the political government. So, I mean, I've made them take a step back even for solar when they were trying to punish solar consumers. But the other argument that I'm making is not with the petrol prices, but with diesel prices. 70% of diesel that we consume in Pakistan is refined in Pakistan through imported crude or local crude. 30% is imported. The government of Pakistan gives imported diesel price to everybody because the imported prices become excessively high these days compared to if the refinery price that we do in Pakistan. So the refineries are making excessive profit. So what I'm suggesting is that you bring the prices down to around where the refineries are making normal profit and not excessive profit, and that's going to relieve the public and bring the price of diesel down by 100 rupees. Actually, there is a 150 rupee difference. 50 rupee tax you put, and that tax will compensate PSO for the losses against imported diesel, but you bring the price down by 100 rupees. That the government can easily do.
So if you're trying to bring the price of diesel down, then if I understand you correctly, that means that the reduction would mean some reduction in the taxes that the government gets and some in the profits that the oil marketing company.
No reduction in taxes, only reduction in the profits of not even oil marketing company, just the 5 oil refineries in Pakistan that are making such excessive profits that they're actually delaying their board meetings because they don't want to publicize how much profits they're making right now. These guys made 75 billion extra profit compared. The thing is, we have a good formula, Platt's formula, and normally it works well. But during wartime, the Platt's formula has really taken off, much more so than even the crude price has gone up. And so the refineries are making excessive profits. And this diesel price right now is really at the worst time because right now there's harvest season in Sindh and Punjab for wheat. We need to run a lot of harvesters, Peter engines and all that stuff. The farmers need to buy diesel, and they're going to be really losing a lot of...
If it doesn't even mean cutting back on taxes, then this, on the face of it, it looks like a low-hanging fruit. Why would the government not want to do it?
I think there is some incompetence there, to be very honest with you, to be very brutally honest about this. There is argument obviously within the government also. There are two sides of everything, and so there are two ministers who are fighting for and against this. There is also this inertia that this is how we've always done things, let's continue with this. And there is, I think there is some insensitivity to what's happening. The thing is that on the 7th of March, when they increased prices, I had suggested, look, increase taxes so there is no shortage for a week, but don't increase prices. But they were happy to just give prices and increase to oil marketing company for no reason at all. So somehow, you know, a lot of people who sit in these meetings are also part of the boards of refineries and oil marketing companies.
So this is vested interest.
I don't know whether vested interest is work, but I mean, you get this information from one side, but you're not getting equal information from the other side. And so people like me who are from, you know, who are talking to the people every day, I mean, we have to bring that point of view.
Another topic which is very important for us, and you know it too well. In fact, you suffered because of it, which is LNG. Acute crisis, LNG not coming. Can we manage?
We will manage okay for the now. Come October, November, it would be a problem when there is winter time again in KP and Punjab and in Balochistan, and people start using home heating and they need, you know, heating gas. That's when the shortages will really bite of LNG. Right now, what the government of Pakistan had done was that they increased the price of LNG hugely. You know, the $7 LNG was being sold for $17 to captive industry. So lots of people were not buying LNG. Because they were not buying LNG and we had to buy LNG from Qatar, they were actually selling LNG at local gas prices and losing a lot of money. So right now, I mean, they will not have to buy that LNG, but come November, they will really hurt. We will really hurt. In the meantime, for now, they will actually rely on, because we have excessive power plants. So we can run furnace oil power plants, we can run coal power plants, we can run LNG power plants. So we will actually just be running coal power plants and not running the LNG power plants, except during some peak hours and some. There are some issues with distribution. There are some, for few hours you will have to run LNG plants, otherwise you will not run those plants and you will be fine. So there will not be substantial electricity load shedding, but there will be significant gas load shedding come October, November.
And all this is happening while the IMF program. So that kind of also curtails the space that we have.
It really does. And sometimes it's good actually, because sometimes when you are not in an IMF program, or if you have very good relations with certain Western powers who have a lot of influence on IMF, the IMF sometimes gives you a pass, and that actually comes back to haunt you. The IMF gave us a pass during the Afghan war when the American troops were in Afghanistan, and we were not forced to devalue for a long time, and that in the end really came back to haunt us. So sometimes it's best to actually under discipline, but the government has to come up with its own rational, consistent policy. Look at this. On the 27th of March, Prime Minister made a speech in which he said the government is going to take all burden and all of that. 4 days later, the two ministers come, Finance and Petroleum Minister, and said, no, we are going to pass on the burden to you. A day later, the Prime Minister again comes and says, no, we'll take half the burden back. So in 3 days, they changed 4 policies. You cannot be the 5th largest country in the world. You cannot have your chief of defense staff talking to Trump on the phone, solving the Iran, Israel war. And at the same time, your prime minister is bungling the meeting every day. I mean, policy every day. That just makes no sense.
What also doesn't make sense, Dr. Miftah, to me at least, is that when we started our conversation, that we are economically weak, and the reasons why we are weak are known to everybody. There is no big secret. We need to do basic structural reforms that everybody talks about, and somehow we never get it done. And what I'm trying to understand is that when everybody knows this, and we've also somehow show to the world then that when we get our act together, we can be in a place where nobody thought that we would be, which is where we are today. But we can't get the fundamentals of our economy right. I mean, we can make a nuclear weapon, but we can't get our taxation system right. What is the problem? Why can't we get it right?
Okay, suppose we had within our nuclear, hierarchy, the Atomic Energy Commission or whoever, some people who absolutely had no interest in making nuclear weapons. We would never have been able to make nuclear weapons, right? They were all on one team, focused on one set of incentives. The problem in Pakistan is that our structure, the constitutional structure, the governance structure is not right. That does not give incentives to politicians to act in the correct manner. So take, for instance, everybody knows that unless and until we change the NFC award and decrease the provincial shares, we will not be able to control the budget deficit, which means that we will have inflation and low growth. But the provincial governments of Muslim League in Punjab, the provincial governments of People's Party in Sindh, and even KP, PTI and KP would not want to change the NFC award because they will lose out some money, and you need to have consensus there. So obviously there is no agreement. Everybody knows that you need to have vigorous local governments or smaller provinces in order to provide services to people. If you have 40% children out of school-age children out of school, you need to have effective local governments. And yet People's Party, PTI and PMLN, none of them really want local governments because they want to keep power within the families, within their structure. So again, you have the wrong incentives. The people who are making these decisions don't have incentives to do this. The people who are making decisions about NFC don't have the incentives to improve the NFC award. The people who are making decisions about local government don't have the incentives to improve local government. Similarly, you talk about privatization. When you talk about privatization, one of the big voices heard is that of the unions and that of the companies, management boards, all the secretaries who are on the boards of those companies, the discos and all of that stuff. So again, their voices are heard more than the voice of ordinary Pakistanis. The railway, for instance, ministry. I mean, there is a lot of corruption in railway ministry. There is a lot of inefficiencies in railway ministry. We don't privatize railway, not because railway provides good services to Pakistan, but because it benefits the producers of railway services, not the consumers of railway services.
But then that is why you have a hierarchy where there is ultimately one person who decides, who hears all of these views, who then decides, okay, this is what we're going to do, and the entire machinery then follows that. At least that's the theoretical model.
It's only a theoretical model. So the thing is, look, that you need to have 6 people agree to this. Okay. Now, either you have a prime minister with the moral authority and electoral legitimacy, who can, force his will onto the people, onto other participants, but you don't have that in this case. Or you have other power centers in Pakistan who can force this issue. Why the other power centers, how much would they want to come forward and come on the front foot, it's up to them. But these are certain areas that we really need to reform. Otherwise, Pakistan is not only going behind other nations, Pakistan is now going behind itself.
And do you think this could be a wake-up call?
I think the best thing about this war, not that war is ever good, the best thing for us at least is that, look, the things, it should focus us that we really need to do this austerity.
Yes.
When the Prime Minister says that I'm going to reduce the, 50% of the pool cars, then the question should be asked, shouldn't the pool car be cut down by 50% forever?
And it should stay that way.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, when the Prime Minister says no minister should take an unnecessary trip. Yeah.
Why can't you do it in normal
times?
Yeah.
So the thing is that you need to do these things forever. You need to cut Pakistan's public sector development fund, PSDP, at the federal level, but also at the provincial level. This is the time where the Prime Minister should say, I'm going to have 3 days, a continuous meeting of the NFC Commission, National Finance Commission, and we are going to new NFC. We are going to cut down, federal government expenditures. This is the time he should do it, and take advantage of this emergency.
I completely agree with you. I think, if nothing else, they should focus our mind towards our acute weakness and how we can fix it. Dr. Miftah Ismail, thanks so much for joining us.